listening to Wonderful Life with Tom Rohr. From Rogers to Bedford Falls, from Fayetteville to Pottersville, we're discovering how one person's life can have an effect on so many others. My guest today is Megan Lankford. Megan works at a unique destination in northwest Arkansas that draws more than 80,000 visitors a year and is one of the most beautiful places in northwest Arkansas. Welcome, Megan.
Hello, thanks for having me on today.
It's great to have you here. Well, Megan, so our audience can get a chance to know you a little bit, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your family?
Sure, I'd love to. I grew up in upstate New York in a small town of about 2,000 people. As I like to say, there's one stoplight inside of town, one stoplight outside of town, and more cows than there are people. Also spent a lot of my childhood in the Adirondack Mountains. My family had a camp up there, so we went camping, hiking, canoeing, swimming, and just spending a lot of time out of doors. So my parents divorced when I was 12. I ended up living with my dad mostly, very close to him, very close to my mom. I have one older brother. He's about 3 years older, and then I have a younger sister who is 18 years younger than I am.
Oh, wow. It's almost like a different family.
Yes, yeah. Well, she's my half-sister. She was born to my dad and my stepmom, but we're very, very close.
All right.
Yeah.
So now, where do your parents live now?
My dad still lives in the house that I grew up in Oxford, New York. My mom actually lives in Alabama. She is a professor at the University of Alabama.
Okay.
And then, as I grew up, after high school, I went to college for a year. But at that time, there really wasn't any career path that I felt that I would want to spend that much time and money on. So I actually stopped going to school, worked various jobs. And then at 20, a little over a year after I graduated high school, I moved to Joplin, Missouri. And so that was a big move for me.
Okay. So what took you to Joplin, Missouri?
Actually, I left an abusive relationship, and I made the decision to go as far away as possible, so as to not be able to, be re-involved in it or to be able to see that person. Okay. So it was a good choice for me to go away. Yeah. And then shortly after I moved to Joplin, when I was 21. I met my husband. We got married 2 years later, and now we've been married for a little over 12 years.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, turned out well.
Okay. Now, did you meet him in Joplin?
Yes. We worked at a telemarketing agency together.
So it was you were just predestined to meet your husband and the man of your dreams in Joplin, Missouri.
Yeah, and actually he had been in the Army for 4 years and had just come back a few months before we met as well. So I guess if there is fate, we were fated to be together. Okay. So
that's a very cool story.
Yeah, yeah. And then as far as, how I found what I love to do in life, shortly after Chris and I got married, we moved to a small town just north of Joplin. It's called Carterville. And my neighbor, Darlene, she had the most beautiful yard I had ever seen. At that time in my life, I had what I call a black thumb. And so I was really good at killing plants. Okay. But I wanted to learn how to garden. Darlene was retired, as is her husband. And so she came over pretty much every day and taught me how to vegetable garden. If I had a concern or question at any time, I could just go knock on her door, and she would come over.
So up to that point in your life, had you ever been exposed to gardening or?
A little bit here and there. I had tried to grow corn when I was little. Okay. I killed a few cacti in my day.
So you always had an interest.
Yes, always had an interest, but
just hadn't been successful up to that point.
Yeah. And I mean that, for me, my story of how I found what I love to do is a story of partly of not giving up, but how having one person, a neighbor or a family member or a friend can totally turn your life around and make a huge difference. Yeah. So Darlene was the person that made that difference for me.
Well, and that that's the theme of the show here, is just how one person can make such a difference in other people's lives. Yeah. So she showed you and taught you how to move from a black thumb to a green thumb.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And I mean, until then, I just had worked jobs that I didn't enjoy, jobs that didn't pay well, nothing that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And so finally finding something that you look forward to every day when you wake up was really, really exciting for me. And so then I went back to school, started at Missouri Southern, taking some of my general ed classes. And then when my husband graduated from Missouri Southern, we moved down to Fayetteville so I could finish my degree in horticulture. And in 2015, I graduated summa cum laude from the University of Arkansas with a bachelor in horticulture and a minor in sustainability.
Wow. What a turnaround.
Yes. Yeah.
So going back to when you were talking about deciding not to go to college, did you have a thought in your mind at that point on what you wanted to do?
I really didn't. I knew that I would never stop searching. You know, I tried new things, new hobbies, just to try to find something that I really enjoyed, that I wanted to do.
Yeah. I love your persistence in this, though. I mean, you really kind of waited for the opportunity to come to you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm hard-headed in many ways, but I'm the type of person, I never give up. I'm always going to push forward no matter what the obstacles are in front of me. If I have to jump over it, dig under it, burst through it, whatever it is, I'm going to find a way to make it happen.
Okay.
So while I was at the University of Arkansas, in addition to really being passionate about school, I also did a lot of volunteer work. I volunteered at tricycle farms for about 4 years, once a week, even helped plan one of their pesto fests. I also worked at foundation farms for one summer, learning organic farming that doesn't involve any machinery. So it's all hand labor, which was a really great experience. And then I interned here at the Botanical Gardens. I did my internship, which turned into a part-time job, and that turned into a salary position when I graduated. And this year I've become horticulture supervisor. So it's been a long but good path to get here.
So you're a horticulturist at the Botanical Gardens of the Ozarks. Tell us about the gardens.
The Botanical Gardens is an amazing place to work. We do so many things beyond horticulture. We're a member-supported public garden dedicated to education and environmental awareness, and we're a community destination for unique nature experiences. We're a nonprofit. We were incorporated in 1994, but we didn't actually open our doors until 2007. And so this was a dream started by Donna Porter and some of her friends. They wanted to make this happen. They're the ones that put in the groundwork and, did everything so that we could open our doors to the public just over 10 years ago. We are located on the east side of Lake Fayetteville. Right now we have about 6 acres of manicured gardens. However, we have plans to expand across the entire 44 acres that we lease from the city. And what you'll find when you come visit us is we have 12 themed gardens. So if you have a small backyard, say maybe 1,200, 2,500 square feet, you can come here and see our different themed gardens. Like we have a shade garden, so you can see what plants will work in the shade for you. We have a sensory garden, so, sight, smell, sound, touch. We have a 4 seasons garden, so if you want to look and see, what you can have in your garden all year so that you have something in the winter, spring, summer, and fall, then you can come see that here as well. So it's neat to have different gardens within the garden.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah.
So do you teach classes on the particular gardens, or
not on the particular gardens, but we do have a variety of classes. The horticulture staff, we typically allow them to pick a subject that they're really passionate about and teach about that. Like beyond horticulture, I love insects, and so I like to teach classes about beneficial insects. Whereas some of my coworkers come with soil science degrees, and so they'll teach classes about soil science. And then, of course, we have different community educators and professionals that come in and teach classes as well.
Wow. So I want to go back a little bit to the motivation of Miss Porter and starting this. And it was 13 years? How many years was it?
It was from 1994 to 2007. So, yeah, about 13
years. Mm-hmm. So was that the plan from the beginning?
No, at first there have been many master plans,
okay.
And they have changed. But the reason that we went with the 12 themed gardens is Carl Totemeyer, who was, I believe, the director of horticulture for the New York Botanical Garden. He retired here. And his suggestion to get the gates open, to get people coming, was to do smaller themed gardens so that people could see what they could use in their backyard here and what would work well for them. So it was originally his idea so that we could get the gates open.
One of my favorite places in the world is the St. Louis Botanical Gardens, and it's 250 years old, or it might even be a little bit older than that now. It's just such a peaceful, beautiful place, and you've got the makings of that here too.
Yeah, definitely. There are many reasons why I love working here, but one reason why I want to be here is I want to leave a legacy for my children, for my grandchildren, for the people in this community, a place that they can come enjoy just being outside, looking at the plants, listening to the birds sing, watch the butterflies, just having a place where they can really relax. Because even if you don't like gardening, you probably like gardens. And so I definitely want to leave something behind. I really believe that in life we should leave it better off than we found it if we can. And so that's part of what I'm trying to do here as well.
Well, so tell us a little bit about the people that work here at the Botanical Gardens, and also just other people that are involved that make it just such a beautiful place.
Yeah, well, we definitely have a lot of passionate people here. We are a mostly female staff, so it's almost all women. But, on the horticulture staff, we all love plants. We're all plant nerds. We love what we do inside our education, media coordinators, even our accountant. We all love being here. And it just makes it a great place to work. It really feels more like family. And I've worked for large corporations, small mom and pop shops, and kind of everything in between. And this is the first place where I don't feel like just another cog in the wheel. And so that's really a wonderful feeling. And then, really what makes us work, what makes us click are our volunteers. Without our volunteers, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. Last year alone, we had just over 13,000 volunteer hours. And that's from everything to horticulture, events, education, and everything in between. We also have interns every year, again, both inside and outside. Last year, we had a little over 8,000 students and parents that came in for field trips, programs, and classes, which includes Little Sprouts and Garden Buds, which we have every Wednesday during the summer. We had 8,000 people attending other educational events, 2,000 adults for tours and classes, for a grand total of about 18,000 people. And so that's what makes the Botanical Garden, is the community, bringing them in so that we can educate them and they can educate us. That's, to me, what really makes the garden click. And then beyond that, we've really become a premier event space. Last year, we had just over 80 private rentals, 40 of which were weddings. We've been voted best wedding venue for, I want to say, 8 or 9 years in a row. So for almost as long as we've been open, we've been a wonderful place for people to come celebrate their love and get married.
Yeah. Sounds like you won't be giving that title up anytime soon.
We hope not. We have an amazing special events coordinator and a beautiful spot. So it's, that's hard to beat for sure.
Now you have 4 larger events here?
Yeah, we have a variety of different events, but our 4 large events, which we call our signature events, are the greening of the garden in May, art in the garden in June, Firefly Fling, which is one of the largest, if not the largest, children's festival in this area, in July, and then we have chefs in the garden in September. We also have some other sometimes smaller, sometimes larger events. We have summer concerts, one in June, one in July, one in August. So we have a variety of different events. But the greening of the garden, art and cocktails, Firefly, and chefs in the garden are our largest.
Okay. So now, do you offer membership here?
Yes, we absolutely do offer membership. We have a variety of levels. You can get a low level of family, so for 2 people. You can also get one for a family of 4. And then, of course, if you want to be a larger donor or something like that, we have larger memberships as well.
So I've met a few people associated with botanical gardens here, and there's a strong sense of sustainability. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. The garden has always had people working for it or volunteers that were very passionate about being sustainable, recycling, and things like that. Since I've come on, especially having the minor in sustainability, which gives me the training to kind of move things forward, we've definitely been moving forward with that. So with our events, we're almost to the point where we can be zero waste. We're not quite there, but we're just on the doorstep. We just have a couple of waste streams that we can't quite take care of. Internally, we recycle, we compost on site. In the greenhouse, instead of using pesticides, most of the time we use ladybugs. We found that they actually work better than using pesticides. And if we can't recycle it, we try to repurpose it or reuse it or do something with it. We very rarely throw anything away.
So to your value, you leave it better than you found it.
Oh, yeah.
And it just gets better and
definitely.
Better. What kind of needs does the Botanical Garden have, and what are your plans going forward?
You know, we're very lucky to have a lot of community partners. However, you know, we're growing in a number of ways. We are growing in the number of annual visitors, the number of events that we have, educational programs, our sustainability efforts, trying to, again, make our large events zero waste, and we hope to eventually make all of our events zero waste. And then the enhancement and eventual expansion across our additional 44 acres. And for all this growth, we will need more volunteers, more community partners, whether it's in education, music, all the different areas that we touch, and more volunteers, increased funding, and of course, patience to think strategically as we move towards the future. We don't want to just expand. We want to do it in a way that's sustainable for us, but also that we provide what the community wants and what the community needs. And then this year, we're hoping to build an operations center that will house our large and small equipment, give our horticulture and operations staff an office and break room, because even though we've been open for 10 years, my greenhouse is my office. So it would be really nice to have an office with internet access and everything like that. And that will be our first step in expanding the gardens and our facilities so that we can, as we like to say, jump the creek and start expanding.
Yes. And so for our listeners to know, we are actually recording here in the office today. So some of the background noises comes from activities in the greenhouse. And as I look around, I have great hope for the spring is not too far away.
No, so not too far away.
If a listener out there was interested in supporting you or volunteering here, what was the best way for them to get involved in that way?
Well, as far as supporting us, there are a variety of different ways. You can come to our events, buy a ticket. If you have a special, you want to have a birthday party or even maybe a celebration of life, we're always happy to work with you. You can become a member. You can volunteer as a nonprofit with no one particular corporate sponsor or endowment. Any donations that you want to make to the garden, if it's monetary, you can always get in touch with us. If you want to buy a memorial tree to remember someone, a tree that you can come visit 10 years or 20 years from now, that's a wonderful way to support us as well. As far as becoming a volunteer, we actually have recruitment sessions coming up. We will talk about all of the different opportunities that we have to volunteer outside in the garden, inside in the office, events, and also we're starting a new, what we're going to call our green team, which will be the people that help us make sure that our events become zero waste. And if you're unable to make it to those sessions, that's not a problem. You can go to bgozarks.org. So that's bgozarks.org. Select support and then select volunteer. and there's a form for you to fill out. And then if you would just simply bring that in to our visitor center, we'll get you signed up and get you started communicating with whoever it is that coordinates the group or groups that you're interested in.
Well, thank you for taking us through all that.
Yeah.
And I know this is a place that everybody's going to want to see if they haven't seen it already. So are you ready for our lightning round?
I'm ready for your lightning
round.
Okay.
Well, this is an opportunity for our audience to get to know you a little bit more. Tell us, Megan, what were you like in high school?
I was very much an introvert, very much like I am now. I had just a few close friends. Actually spent a lot of time with my dad. I was very close to my father growing up. I was an honor student. I sang in choir. I love music. I did all-state choir, just anything I could do to sing. I did drama for 4 years, and I really loved to drive my mom's convertible. So that's what I was like in high school.
I like it. All right. So second lightning question. What will we find you doing away from here on your time off?
Well, when my husband has time, because he works full-time and he's going to school full-time to be a social worker, I'll spend time with him. There isn't much, but when we do, we generally go hiking, or we're big movie buffs, so we like to watch movies together. Every Wednesday, I go hiking with my best friend and her little girl, Violet. She's just a little over a year old. And then sometimes our friend Erin and her daughter, Alora, come as well. My weekends are typically spent working outdoors at my own house. I have a large vegetable garden, and I just added a high tunnel, so I'll be able to grow year-round. And if I'm not working in the vegetable garden or the high tunnel, I'm working in the yard in another garden spot. So I'm pretty much always outside.
Okay. So you really do enjoy what you do.
I really do, yeah. I really love it.
That's wonderful. All right, last question. Imagine that you're a new addition to the crayon box. What color would you be and why?
So I really gave this one a lot of thought. I decided that I would actually be a swirl of fuchsia and navy blue, because human nature, it's complicated. It's rarely one-sided or one color. And then blue is the color of trust, calmness, stability, and intelligence. Fuchsia, which is a shade of pink, is the color of tenderness, sensitivity, caring, and love. And Now, all of these qualities are ones that I either embody or seek to embody. And of course, I had to pick a bright shade of pink because I'm a little fiery, so it had to be a full bright pink. So that's what I would be.
Very good. That would fit well in that new crayon box. All right. Well, Megan, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for tuning in to Wonderful Life. And remember, the only things that you can take with you is that which you give away. This is Tom Rohr, the richest man in town, signing off till next time.
This is the Padua Podcast Network. PaduaMedia.com